Hi guys. I've been coughing my brains out. Just had a tea and it went down the wrong way. I spilt it everywhere. That's twice today that I've spilt teas on me. These trousers do need a wash anyway. The thing is, I don't have a second pair. So, be quiet. Keep growling. I don't know what they're growling at. At each other, of course. But Betty's got that separation anxiety. As soon as I move away, look, I've just slightly moved away from the gate. She's moving around, and that sets off Sally. Now, today's discussion is about when I did what is it? I did the ketovore, which is like a carnivore diet, and why it didn't work, and maybe why not just the carnivore diet or ketovore diet, keto, the raw vegan diet, fruitarian diet, or even just a Mediterranean diet. Sometimes diets don't work because it's dirty. It wasn't done properly. So what I think I did was like a dirty keto diet, which means, well, for me, it meant I used to eat lamb. I think, eat lamb and have maybe a tomato in it, or maybe nothing, just lamb on its own with water and salt. And in the evening, I would get the gremlins. And I would have a packet of crisps when no one's looking, right? So that's why it doesn't work. Because if you allow any amount of junk to go into your system, like there was a guy, he was doing like the low carb diet, and I think in some videos I saw he was drinking Pepsi or Coke, the zero sugar one. And you'd think, yeah, that's okay, right? But no. if you deviate from it, then it won't work. It's just like being on a raw vegan diet, and then like once a day just having just a little bit of spaghetti, a little bit of pasta. The cooked food will affect your results. Or doing a vegan diet, just once a week I have ham. That's what I used to do. And basically I'm on a plant-based diet, ham sandwiches, just a few times a week, an egg. As a vegetarian, isn't it? So what I would do is be like a saint in the mornings. I would have maybe bacon, or maybe I would fast until 12 o'clock, 1, 2 o'clock, and then I'd have lamb. I'd have lamb with some salt, water, maybe a tomato or a little bit of quince. And then in the evening, well, it's not just in the evening, during the whole day I would need teas because my dopamine is really low, and so drinking teas actually helps. The caffeine helps. Not only caffeine, but writing something down, listening to music, it all increases your dopamine. And so my brain is trying to latch at dopamine, dopamine spikes, or it needs highs during the day. But like with all addictions, you get so used to it and then you're not high anymore. Well, actually, yeah, I mean, the highs I get when I drink teas, you feel a bit high, but then that's not enough. You need then a little cake, a little muffin or something, or a biscuit. So on the ketovore diet that I did, the dirty one, which is ketovore, is like a carnivore diet, is like pure just meat. You have no carbohydrates at all. A ketovore diet is the same, But you do have a few veggies, like you have maybe some asparagus or some herbs like thyme, rosemary, or you may have like an avocado or a tomato, not all at once, but so you don't really give up vegetables. And you might have the odd fruit as well. You might have a few berries or something like that. So that's what the ketovore diet for me is. And then you can have olive oil, which is, olive oil is a fruit. It's the fat from a fruit. So so I was having teas during the day, and I was, instead of having sugar, I would have xylitol. But that didn't really work, so I would add a tiny amount of honey. And for milk, I would have almond milk. So, you know, kind of cheating. But in the evening, that's the worst time. I would have my gremlins then. I would have a packet of crisps, as I said, when no one's looking. Even a biscuit maybe, or 2 or 4. The odd croissant, you know, those almond croissants. Bloody hell. So I would have those, or 1 maybe. So the evening was the worst time for me. And then if I had loads of acid, I would think, oh, okay, let me just shut this acid down by having a banana or a piece of bread. Or if I had lots of palpitations because I was doing coffee enemas. Some of the time I stopped coffee enemas after 12 years, 13 years. But then once I was on the ketovore diet, I thought, or the trial, I thought, hang on, I'm just pounding down lots of meat. There's no fiber, no vegetables, no fruits. So I'm just wondering about, you know, colon inflammation, colon cancer, you know, colon polyps. Because you're not pooing anymore. You poo every 3-4 days or whatever. So food isn't like the, you know, the your bowels aren't really moving. And then I had a problem because you had to drink 2 or 3 liters of water. If I drink that amount of water, I'll get loads of acid. So I had multiple problems. So maybe I wasn't drinking enough water. I was drinking teas, which actually dehydrates you. I was doing the coffee enemas, which also dehydrate you and rob you of electrolytes. You know, sodium, magnesium, potassium, was it phosphorus? You lose all your you start losing all your electrolytes. Plus, I did the coffee enemas, obviously with coffee, but with distilled water, which maybe leaches even more minerals because distilled water has no minerals in it. So I think there's a theory, isn't there? A long time ago I read this, maybe in the 90s or something, that when you eat white sugar, it's a pure form of the sugar cane, which has vitamins like B vitamins. It has vitamins inside it. So once you take all those vitamins away and you have the pure sugar, when it enters your body, it tries to complete itself by drawing on your B complex, sorry, the B vitamins, B complex, the B vitamins and other minerals. So it robs your body of these minerals. That's the idea. And I'm thinking, with distilled water, naturally water has minerals. It's not distilled. I mean, you have rainwater that's distilled, I suppose, but naturally the water that you get has minerals. And so once you take those minerals away, once it goes into your body, you have pure water, no minerals. And so I assume it tries to complete itself as well. It tries to draw on the minerals. So it leaches more minerals out of your body. So there was a period when I wasn't doing the coffee enemas. There was a period when I was doing them, and then I stopped. But I don't know when all this hell broke loose, whether I was doing the coffee enemas or not. So I don't know. But I was doing these, I was getting these really strange symptoms, really strange. My, how do I say it in a nice way? I don't want to use the medical term, it's so disgusting. the jade stalk down there, on the right hand side of the glands, which is the, anyway, it's called the glands, on the right hand side, I had a stain. I thought, what the hell is that? It's about like a thumb, like a finger's width, you know, size, a dark stain. I thought, what the hell is that? And it's so embarrassing. I had to go to the doctor, to the black guy that I know, and he's a nice doctor. And I was hoping it would be a woman. I wouldn't feel so embarrassed with a woman. With a bloke though, showing my thing to a bloke, oh, it's horrible. But so he said something. It just looks like balanja or banana. I don't know what the hell. I said, 'cause I've got ADHD, right? And I said balanja. Is that like an African term? He laughed. He said, no. What did he said? Bananj. Sounds like banana, right? And he said, take hydrocortisone cream. So basically I had to put hydrocortisone cream on it a little bit, once a day or twice a day, because I put pseudocreme on it for about 5 days, nothing. And you know what happened? I thought, to hell with this. I stopped the carnivore or ketovore diet, and I started eating more fruits, veggies, and still the junk that I was eating in the evenings. It vanished. It disappeared. Also, I had a pain on the the jade stalk on the right-hand side of the shaft. Sorry, I don't know how to say it, but politely. That vanished as well. I thought, what could be making... I have to figure this one out, but I haven't figured it out yet. But the fact that you lose electrolytes, basically your body feels that, you know, you're maybe not dying, but you're sick, because if you do coffee enemas every day, it's like having, like, to your body it feels like it's having episodes of diarrhea, and so you're losing water. If you're not replenishing water, that's not a good thing. So you're dehydrated. If you're losing electrolytes and you're not replenishing with vegetables and fruits, and that is a problem. So you see, when you do the carnivore or keto diet, you're supposed to have electrolyte drinks, because once you go into a kind of ketosis, your body starts dumping electrolytes. Your kidney dumps electrolytes. So you need to eat more salt. The amount of salt that you eat on a carnivore or keto diet, if you ate on a normal diet, you probably have high blood pressure. Because when you eat carbohydrates, they hold on to water and hold on to electrolytes. Your kidneys hold on to electrolytes. But when you stop eating carbohydrates, you know, fruits, veggies, junk or whatever, then your kidneys don't hold on to electrolytes. They get rid of them. They're kind of purging. I don't know. They're detoxing. And so you have to replenish with an electrolyte drink. You know, the electrolyte drink has to have magnesium, potassium, maybe some sea salt. I use a little bit of glucose as a transporter so that my body absorbs all these electrolytes quicker, a tiny amount. But I was thinking I'd never got into ketosis because I was eating the junk in the evening, like crisps, some biscuits, a little bit of honey. So I never got into ketosis, so I didn't think that my kidneys would be dumping so much electrolyte. But I don't know. So the mistake I made was to do this diet. I didn't respect the diet enough, because that keto diet or the carnivore diet or ketovore diet, if you do it wrong, it can screw you. If you do it right, it's like miraculous. But if you do it wrong, is actually dangerous, I think. So your cholesterol will go through the roof, because what I was doing was eating meat, saturated fat, and no fiber to get rid of the cholesterol, no fiber to get rid of all the junk, via bile. Well, the carnivore guys, or keto people who do keto, will argue that you don't need fiber to get rid of cholesterol because you need cholesterol. But because I have a cholesterol handling problem, then I found out I got xanthelasma, which is a yellow kind of like sac and a crusty bit in my eye. Basically, excess cholesterol, I think, spills over into tissue. So that's what happened to me. Some people get these, and you can't get rid of them. You have to operate. I don't know how to get rid of them. Not yet, anyway. So I figured out that so basically what I was doing is eating meat, lots of saturated fat, no fruits and vegetables to like reduce the load on my liver, and junk food as well in the evening, like crisps, biscuits. So I'd get the worst of both worlds. So I would get the bad, like, trans fats in biscuits and cakes, or not a lot of cake, but a little bit every once in a while, every few days. But it was a constant because my brain needed that sugar, my brain needed that carb hit. So see, what you're supposed to do is eat meat and saturated fat, no fruits and vegetables. So you go into this fat adapted state. But if you eat biscuits, a little bit of biscuit, a little bit of honey, a little bit of cake, a little bit of crisps, you don't go into this fat adapted state. And so what you have in your body is saturated fat. You're eating basically a high fat junk diet, because this negates that. So the proper way to do it is meat, eggs, fish, maybe olive oil or tallow, butter, and that's it. Maybe if you do ketovore, maybe you can add asparagus, a little bit of asparagus, some herbs, lots of water and salt. So that keeps you in this ketogenic state, or fat adapted state. Some people say you can't get into ketosis on a carnivore diet because there's too much protein. You need to have about 10%, 9% protein in order to get into ketosis. So I don't know about that, because lots of the carnivores say that their brain fog just disappears. So maybe it's not true. Maybe there's some other mechanism at play. I'm not sure. So yeah. So I got xanthelasma. I got that strange feeling in my jade stalk, pain on the right hand side, and on the actual glands there was a stain. As soon as I stopped, boom, it came back. I was going to say came back to life, but went back to normal. No pain, no. And I tried it again. I thought, let me start again. Again, after a few days, pain, the stain came back. And the second time when I did it, bang, this thing exploded here in my eye. And I thought, no, I can't do this. So I was blaming the carnivore diet or keto diet. I thought, to hell with this. God knows how much my cholesterol, has gone through the roof. So I went back to just eating normal food, which is beans on toast in the morning, maybe an egg, 2 eggs, and then teas during the day. In the evening, have a little bit of meat and vegetables and fruits. But then I'll still have the dangerous time is when I go to the supermarket and I see those packets of crisps. So recently I haven't had any crisps. I tell a lie, a few days ago I did have a packet of crisps, but apart from that time I haven't. And life is really boring. I don't have any pleasure. I don't have a girlfriend or anything, so don't have any pleasure hugging a woman, a big buxom woman, or any woman. Yeah, I hug my dogs. It's not the same, isn't it? I've got a cat. It's not the same hugging a cat or a dog. It's an animal. Yeah, you love your animals. There's a different kind of love, though. The love of a woman or a man. Well, not in my case. I mean, if you're a woman and well, whatever. Okay, let's be neutral. A partner. No. Let's not be neutral. I hate that word. My partner. It could be a bloody dog. It could be a business partner. It could be anything. Yeah. Anyway, I don't have much pleasure in life. The pleasure that I have, the dopamine hits, are when I see my son coming back from school, and I tap him I rub him on the head, and I say, "I love you. What would you like to eat?" See, that makes me smile. That gives me pleasure. That gives me that dopamine that I need. I think that's it. That's all I have. So my brain searches for dopamine hits. That cup of tea, that packet of crisps, that biscuit. But then, even though I know it's going to screw me, what do? I'm coming off medication, so I don't have that crutch anymore. Food is the only thing that you have. And I don't want to do porn anymore. Like, I stopped doing that some time ago. I don't want to do anything like that. Yeah, I have to do a video about that, because that's really important. Because can you imagine young men, closed off in their rooms for days and days. Some men are like that. Young men gaming. Yeah, when you see their eyes really, really, really black and they look drained, you know what they've been doing. It wasn't gaming. A type of gaming, yeah. Now you've got these AI girlfriends that look almost like a real woman. You don't need a woman anymore. If they can make that woman come out of the screen and you can touch and she feels like a human, that's it. That's the end of the human race. Yeah, anyway. There's a funny story about this guy. Oh, no, I shouldn't say it, no. But anyway. He had a doll, right? SEX doll. And he got chlamydia from it, apparently. And people are saying, how can you get that from a doll? Apparently he didn't wash it for months. Oh, God. I don't know if this is true or he just made it for the video. Disgusting. Just thinking about that. And this guy ended up making videos for something called OnlyFans. Afterwards, I didn't know what the hell is this OnlyFans. And then I realized it's some kind of prostitution kind of porn site. And even men do it. Like, as a man, he was putting things inside him and stuff. And apparently his mum, somebody doxed him and sent videos to his mum and his sister. I think these things are all like not true. They're just he makes these things up. Maybe he's just nutty and made these things up, and just to get views. God knows what he's doing now. Really, really cringy. If you think mine are cringy, there's some real cringe out there. Really embarrassing stuff. Yeah, but where's my... See, the pleasure today, it's sunny. That is my pleasure. It's so nice, so I'm absorbing all of that in, because serotonin is going to go up, and my brain desperately is seeking serotonin. The way you increase serotonin is having a massage. So if a lady can give me a massage, that would be really nice. Why a lady? There's no way I can have a massage by a bloke and feel relaxed. No, I don't want no hairy hands on me. I don't care if a woman's hands are not strong or whatever. I couldn't relax. I wouldn't be able to relax. I want to say these stories, but I know, like, every time I say one of these stories, I lose subscribers, and I'm gonna say it anyway. I don't give a shit. So I remember living in China. There was a gay guy, right? There was a gay guy. He was a really nice guy, and we were living in Xining. Well, I was living in Xining, and I met him there. And I was going back to Beijing, and he came with me. And he said, "Oh, I'm going to Beijing to see my family." And he took this opportunity that we can take the train together. And so I went to this hotel called Huguosi in was it the northwest of Beijing, in Jishuitan, near Jishuitan station. And so he had to spend the night in my room, right? And I was already panicking. And so I asked, "Can I have some more cushions?" And so at night time, I put the cushions in the middle, right? So I said, "Look, there's cushions here. That's your side. This is my side." And he started smiling. He said, What do you mean? I'm not going to come on your side." I said, "Yeah, well, just in case, he might have been offended, but I don't care. Like, I'll say that that's your side. Luckily, it was a big bed, but I still put cushions in the middle. I tell you, that night I didn't fucking sleep. I didn't sleep at all. I had one eye on him and one eye closed. I couldn't sleep. I didn't sleep that night. I thought, to hell with this, I'll sleep tomorrow. Or tomorrow when I wake up, I'll just sleep. And when we woke up, both of us woke up the next day and got up. I think he got offended because then we had an argument and never saw him again. So, but I tell you, that's a funny story. I put cushions in the middle and I was saying, "That's your side, this is my side." And he's saying, "Why are you like that? I'm the woman of the relationship. I'm not a man." And I said, "Yeah, I don't care if you're a man or woman. You never know in the middle of the night, He was trying to say, like, he doesn't initiate. I don't know what they do, but he's the lady, he's the female. And I thought, no, it doesn't matter, male or female. I'm putting a wall there, a border, just in case. You never know. But I did know, because I made sure I didn't sleep. My body couldn't sleep. I just could not sleep. So I don't feel comfortable with a man near me, let alone a man touching me. If it's a woman touching me, I can relax. I feel like my defenses go down and I can relax. Especially when I was a kid. I think I told you this story when I had some hair. Don't have any hair anymore. It's all gone. I sold it. I lost it. When I was about 15, me and my cousin used to go to the local hair shop. Hairdressers, well, for men and boys, on a Saturday. I remember I used to pray it was the daughter. She was like some 17 or 18-year-old girl with a huge chest, right? And so she used to squeeze up onto us because she couldn't help it, poor girl, and I would be praying I didn't have the dad, because we would both go together, and I would be praying I didn't have the dad. You're thinking, why don't you wait behind? No, because whoever goes there arrives, then takes the place. I was praying that I would have her, not the dad. But even when the dad did the hair, you feel like pampered. You have that. I used to have that vacant look. Like, she used to ask me, how was your week at school? Yeah, it was good. All I could feel was two cushions on my back and someone doing my hair. That's so delicious. It wasn't like sexy or anything. It's just so relaxing. Like when she was touching my hair or my neck. Could you imagine a man touching your hair and neck? I'd feel so uncomfortable, so stressed, like it would cause anxiety. So that word homophobia is true. It's real. You have a fear. Maybe it's an irrational fear because a man's touching you, but you do have that fear. From the center of every cell in your body, you have a fear. Okay, it's irrational fear, but it's still a fear. Your body's saying, this is not irrational, this is rational. I don't like it. You know, forget about politics. Your body's saying, I don't want it. I don't want this, and rejects it. And not to say that men aren't good hairdressers. They are. But yeah, anyway. Just brings me back, the thought of that girl, like, cutting my hair. And I know why women go to have their hair cut all the time, or have their hair, because you're being pampered, you're being touched. It's like a massage, and that increases serotonin, so it's a good thing, you know. The bad thing is if you get used to it all the time, and then you don't have it, and then you feel miserable. You kind of get addicted to that. What is it, dopamine or serotonin spike. So I'm feeling a lot, my brain fog is much less today, maybe because serotonin, you know, I'm getting sun from the sky. I haven't had any carbohydrates apart from a tiny amount of honey in the tea, and so maybe, you know, if I continue doing the carnivore or ketovore, see, I did it this morning, but I don't know how long I can continue. I mean, last night I had lamb, salt, water, some eggs, and then I had, not night sweats, but I woke up about 3 or 4 on fire, on heat, and I was sweating a little bit. And I think in the morning when you wake up, cortisol rises 7 or 8 o'clock, 7 o'clock. And so before that, 6 or 5 o'clock, your body starts to wake up and starts to increase temperature anyway. But when you're on a low carb diet, or maybe you're switching to become fat adapted or get into ketosis, it happens more strongly. You know, it happens, the heat you get is more. And lamb is really warm, and it's a very hot meat. That's what the Chinese say, the traditional Chinese medicine. If you feel cold, you eat lamb. Or dog. I wouldn't eat dog anyway. No way. Let's say that in front of them. Yeah, so I don't know what to do. Maybe, you know, you can do the other thing. You can just go, I can go like pure vegan. You know, eat lots of fruits. But the problem is then I've got small intestinal fungal overgrowth, so it's SIFO. I've got histamine intolerance. So I've got these problems. As soon as I start chugging down, like, I don't know, carrot juice, you know, salads, fruits, veg, then all hell will break loose, because I don't have the required enzyme to digest, to metabolize or deal with histamine. So plus the fact that I'm reducing Paxil or Seroxat, and so that increases histamine as well. I don't know how, but the SSRIs actually deal with histamine. So when you reduce it, you can get itchiness, you can get histamine problems. If you already have a histamine problem, it adds to that load. It's called a histamine bucket. That histamine bucket fills and overflows, and all hell breaks loose. You feel bad. What do you mean you feel bad? What does it look like? Oh, sneezing my brains out, mucus all the time, the back of my throat, having to get rid of it all the time, sweating. You can have night sweats, eyes itchy to the point that you scratch them, become all red, you can't see properly, you know. And I think also, you know, when I was doing that ketovore, like, kind of trial, the carnivore kind of experiment, I had ocular migraines, or what do you call them? A scintillating scotoma. Like I would watch the computer, and bang, I would get these cracks in my vision. Usually not when I'm watching, but afterwards. So I thought it must be computer time. I'm just on the screen too much. It was, but I think it was the fact that I was eating a high-fat diet with junk carbohydrates, no fiber, no fruits and vegetables, and that's like the worst of the worst. You know, if you're not going to eat any fruits and vegetables, like the worst of the worst diet would be McDonald's, KFC. In the evening, eat crisps like Pepsi, Coca-Cola, sweets, no fruits and vegetables, so you have no fiber. That would be the worst of the worst. No, I was almost there. I was eating, okay, lamb, eggs, chicken, that's okay, with salt on it. But then in the evening and during the day, I would eat junk. So, and then I would have coffee enemas to try and, you know, deal with the fact that I wasn't eating any fiber, no carbohydrates, no fruit, vegetables, beans, lentils, nothing like that. And so I would detox with coffee enemas, using distilled water, which would get rid of all my electrolytes. And so maybe that's why my body, maybe I had inflammation in the retina, in the eye, in the brain, you know, and I kept getting these scintillating scotomas, and they're quite scary, really scary. And it's really scary when you check online, because you usually get them if you've got like MS, if you've got a brain tumor, or, you know, straight eye strain. You know, touch wood, I had it because of eye strain, but I never have eye strain that bad where you get a scintillating scotoma attack. It's basically a migraine, like pain in your head. But I didn't have any pain, but I had a tear in my vision. It was really frightening, especially if you're driving. If you're driving and it happens, and I've had it when I was driving. So since then, I've used the computer less. But I don't combine coffee enemas with a ketovore diet, because I know when I'm doing the ketovore diet, I'm going to have a little bit of junk, because there are a few problems. One is I've got ADHD and I need a high. Quiet, unless I can stop teas altogether, so I'm stopping another drug. So no wonder I feel flat. I'm stopping all drugs, everything. Everything that gives me a little bit of a high. So I have to get my high from the sun, from natural things like going for a walk, breathing, meditation, things that, you know, red light therapy, things that I have access to, you know, seeing my son come back home, you know, memories, good memories of my parents. So I have to really work at finding new drugs or new things to light, you know, the centers of my brain. So I feel happy and I don't feel so low. Yeah. But another problem is because I've got acid reflux, and so when you go keto, or when you go low carb, or when you go carnivore, you do not eat. There are two problems when it comes to acid reflux with me. Because I've got a sliding hiatal hernia, then the les, you know, the stomach, the opening is kind of like this. It's partially open maybe, or easy to open. So it's weak, but that happens also with age. Hiatal hernias also happen with age, or if you're obese or slightly overweight, or I don't know. So the problem with carnivore is that you don't eat any carbohydrates, right? That's the one problem. The second problem is the water that you would get from carbohydrates, because you get water in carbohydrates, right? I think carbohydrate stands for carbon, and hydrate is water, so carbon and water or something. So maybe I'm wrong. Probably I'm wrong. But in carbohydrates, fruits and vegetables, there's water in there, right? Especially a cucumber, lettuce. It's got lots of, it's like 95% water. It's got lots of water. So when you're eating these foods, you're getting water, right? So you don't need to really replenish with 1 or 2 liters of water a day. When you're on the carnivore diet, you have to have 2 liters a day. Or I would need maybe 3 liters a day, because there's no carbohydrate and meat is quite dry. So that's one problem, because the more water I have, the more acid reflux I get. The more acid I get, the water refluxes up and damages my esophagus. The fact that you don't have carbohydrate, what are they doing? Have they gotten out? Let's see. Sorry about this. This isn't working. So, I don't know, are the dogs inside or did they get out? Oh no, they're still there. I thought they just got out. 2 problems. Your body doesn't have carbohydrates to. The way I see it is to absorb the water. So any water that you have, carbohydrates will absorb that water, right? Because that's what a carbohydrate is. It's something that's filled with water, that absorbs water. So let me give you an example. Yeah, it's still in there. So, like starches or bread, I usually eat because it sops up the liquid. So carbohydrates, like sweet potato, I can eat, and gluten-free bread, I can eat. Sourdough bread I eat, but I'm not really supposed to, because it's got wheat, right? The sourdough gluten-free bread is like plastic. But those things I can eat because they absorb water. And so when these carbohydrates absorb water, you've got less of a watery solution to slosh around in your stomach. And so because that les, is partially open, if you're walking around bending down, you will get reflux if you don't have any starch. Or I get reflux if I don't have any starch, if I don't have any bread. Because, this is my theory, starches absorb water to which acid is bound. So when you eat bread or crackers or a potato or pasta, it absorbs the water. You still have water inside you, but it absorbs it and keeps it in one place. It doesn't slosh around everywhere. So when you're eating a carnivore diet or a keto diet, you have to drink lots of water, but you don't have any carbohydrates. So you have this watery solution for a while, until you digest it and it goes down inside your stomach. That causes or can cause havoc if you've got a hiatal hernia and GERD or gastroesophageal reflux disease. Anyway, if you've got GERD, which is chronic reflux, if it's coming from a hiatal hernia, you've got this les partially opened. So if in your stomach you've got a solution of a watery solution, then you've got problems. So the way I explain it is, imagine if you've got 2 flasks, one flask here, another flask here, and in these flasks, in these bottles, let's say, you pour lots of water in, and then you grind in a machine some lamb or some herbs. You put it in there. If you slosh this around and the lid is partially opened, it can spill some of the liquid. If you have the same container, the same kind of setup, you put cooked potatoes or sweet potatoes, put some bread inside there, no water, a few vegetables, a few fruits, a little bit of meat. You put that together and it absorbs the moisture. And so when you slosh it around, it's not likely and the lid is partially opened, it's not likely to spill out. You have to really violently do that for the waters to spill out. So you get the idea anyway. So there's that problem, you see. Acid reflux, that's the problem that I have. I've got hiatal hernia. So unless I drink the bulk of my water in the morning, but it's the same problem. No matter when I eat it, when I drink the water. So if I get my water in its natural form, you know, within the structure of a natural carbohydrate, you know, sweet potato. Potatoes give me problems with my gut. So sweet potatoes are okay. Quinoa is okay, but sweet potatoes and quinoa are high in oxalates. So I would have to cycle them, you know, change them every week. So that's what also, you know, I may do. You know, if I go back to eating fruits, well, I will probably go back to eating fruits and vegetables. I'll cycle them. So instead of eating kale every week, you know, you'd have a certain amount of oxalates. You'd have this load, which some people say is not a problem, but the carnivores say it's a problem. The keto people say it's a problem. So, you know, I would cycle. I would have kale one week. I would have, I don't know, another green vegetable another week, which is lower in oxalates. So then you would have that constant hit. Because oxalate crystals, they can form into stones in your kidney, and that apparently is so painful. So you can get around that by, when you eat high oxalate foods, by having calcium. So you can have dairy, milk or something, or even, I think, almond milk or another form of calcium, and calcium absorbs the oxalate. So there are ways around everything, you know. Anyway, I better stop talking. It's supposed to be a short video, but yeah, I'm just explaining my problems with the various diet experiments that I'm trying. You know, which one will work for me. See, at the moment, my brain fog, I don't have any. Maybe because I ate I'm eating the carnivore diet, but later on, I'm going to have to drink water. I'm going to get reflux. So I'm damned if I do, damned if I don't. So I have to try and find a protocol or a plan that works for me, for my various problems, for my constitution. And everyone's is different, you know. So if you guys have had similar problems with various diets, I don't know if you guys look into it as much as I do, but because I've got histamine intolerance, you know, leaky gut, things like that, there's so many foods that I can't eat, or I have to be really cautious, you know. So even these so-called miracle diets, I can't do them. I can't do the vegan diet or fruitarian diet because of histamine problems and the SIFO, small intestinal fungal overgrowth. Because otherwise, all these foods feed the fungus and increase my histamine. Because my gut is damaged, I don't have the required enzyme DAO. What I could do is I can supplement with DAO and just go for a vegan diet. But I'd have to quickly try and fix my gut, otherwise I'll be stuck taking these enzymes. And then if I take these enzymes for years, when I stop them, maybe my body can't make those enzymes anymore. Oh, what a headache. You guys must have a headache listed to me. Okay guys, I'll speak to you in another video. I'm exhausted. Alright, take care and see you in the next episode. I hope it's sunny where you guys are. It's so nice to see the sun in the winter time. People say it's not winter time. It is for me. If you don't have central heating, it's winter time, I tell you. But the last few days have been warm, so cross my fingers that it will stay like this. All right, speak to you guys in another video. Bye. Take care. Bye.